Traditionally, children have learned about their world within two arenas, the family and the school. But in the last few decades, demands upon these two institutions have become overwhelming, and the Community After-School Program has emerged as the third arena where important learning takes place. In New York City, the Robert Bowne Foundation provides funds and assistance to after-school programs interested in developing their educational components. We know that after-school programs are large and small. They serve a variety of communities and age groups. On the surface, they don't seem to have much in common. But there are, in fact, a growing number of programs that share common approaches to literacy education. These approaches are rooted in 6 principles that have found to be at the heart of literacy programs that work. First, these programs use kids' interests as the starting point for the learning process. Second, they embrace and celebrate the cultures and communities that their children come from. Third, they give children ample time to read books and write stories on subjects they care about. Fourth, they create a supportive learning environment that is full of books and other reading and writing materials. Fifth, these programs provide young readers and writers with opportunities to share their work with others. And sixth, they provide their staff with time to plan and evaluate the program's activities and to continue their own growth as professionals. This video, The Third Arena, takes a look at 4 after-school programs and illustrates how these educational principles have been successfully put into practice. The North Bronx Family Service Center is a multi-service agency working with the families of youngsters having difficulty in school. The after-school program offers small group tutoring to young people to strengthen skills and provide pleasurable experiences in reading and writing. North Bronx is a child-centered program that actively engages the youngsters by involving them in the creation and presentation of projects.
What makes our program child-centered is that the children are always working really on things that they've made a lot of choices in terms of what they're going to be working on, how they're going to be working on it, how they're going to be presenting it. And they're not in competition with any of the other children. They're working on their own level, trying to express their own concerns about things. And it's an environment that hopefully is encouraging them to take pleasure in their own ideas, their own thinking, and pride in their own work.
Peace, white man.
Welcome, friend, to our teepee. We Indians want to be friends. Together, we share fire, water, buffalo, and horses.
I think that one of the ways that I look at success in the program is we have all the children coming into the program are already behind in school. That's one of the criteria for getting into the tutoring program. And so most of them have already had a lot of experience with failing in school, and they've really lost confidence in their own ability to think, and not just lost confidence, but they really no longer take a lot of pleasure in what their own brains can do. So what I really see as success for us is when the children take pleasure in their own thinking and in what they can do, that their own brains can be as much fun as Nintendo. Rather than decide beforehand what it is that the children should know, should learn, should be reading, what I'd rather see is them open up to exploration and discover for themselves and start to find some of that direction on their own.
Indian woman was in charge of making a nice home for her Indian husband, making sure the house was clean, making sure his dinner was ready, his clothes were clean. They also take care of children. They did some of the farming and fishing. They also made the clothes from skins of animals.
The kids don't feel like like they're getting yet another resource room or worksheet type of approach to skills. They just feel that they're working on the project, and in order to do that, they're off using books, they're doing writing, they're comparing their writing with other kids in the program, and seeing what works and what doesn't. So that literacy is a tool for them. It's not an end in itself, but it's a tool to do something else, which is really what literacy is in the world.
All right, everybody, I have the new newsletter that we did on the wall of wrong information with for Christopher Columbus.
Yes.
And a copy for everybody. There you go. There you go. And if you look inside, you'll find your work done, typed up nicely, and the picture of your work.
Now that they've seen it published and they realize that something else is coming, there is a process of wanting to make sure that, you know, when it goes into this published form, that it's going to look good, that it's going to present them in a good light, that it's going to be something that they'll be proud of. What we've been talking about doing is starting to look at biographies as a topic, because it's a much more open topic than something like the Columbus voyages, or it can be. This will give the kids a chance to be expressing their what are the kinds of people they're interested in, what are the kinds of things they want to know about them, and then we can go and start getting biographies for our library ourselves, getting them into the library to find biographies, and then getting them to figure out ways, first of all, to present some of these people, hopefully in ways that will show why the person is so interesting to them. They'll have been choosing these people because they find them personally fascinating. And then the question is, how do you present them that the fact that this is a fascinating person comes across to your audience? The other thing that it leads into is, once you know how to present someone in an interesting way, there's also the whole thing of writing about yourself. Maybe if a child isn't so interested in writing about some historic or famous person, they would be interested in using that kind of framework that they've discovered from reading biographies to present themselves, to do autobiographical writing.
The East Harlem Tutorial Program matches over 200 children with individual tutors during the academic year. Each child has 2 tutors, and tutorials are designed around the needs, interests, and cultural identities of the children.
What makes the East Harlem Tutorial Program unique is that we don't tackle the issue of reading and writing by just doing reading and writing and inundating a child and saying, read now, and force them to read. We use a creative process, and we make learning fun. We also don't see ourselves as an extension of the school day. So what we have to do is really identify the interests and the needs of that particular youngster, and then we build their own individual program. Let me give you an example. If a youngster likes cars, and we identify that as the interest of that youngster, then we use cars as a motivating factor for language development, math, critical thinking, so that we motivate the youngster based on what they like doing. And we incorporate the arts. We use the visual arts, puppetry, video, theater. We're even looking at dance right now. So that art plays an important part in what we do here. We don't see the arts as separate or apart from the academics. We incorporate them, and we see them as part of the whole of what we do here. And then the other part that's very unique is that we incorporate the parents. We find ourselves to be a triangle that's supportive of the individual youngster, so that you have your parents, you have your school, and you have a program like EHTP. When we say we provide tutoring and that we provide one-to-one tutoring, we actually provide one-to-one tutoring. That's what makes this program also unique, in that we have hundreds of volunteers and several hundred youngsters, and we have to match them. So what happens is, in a particular case, you have a tutor and a tutee. That unique process that happens between the tutor and the tutee is fascinating, because here the youngster, that tutee, has the opportunity and the full attention of a tutor where they don't get this in school or at home in so many instances. And so the youngsters are able to express themselves. They develop trust. There's a whole trust process that has to happen before the process of learning begins. And that process of trust is a process of learning. And then all kinds of exciting things happen. They know one another, they trust one another, they learn about their own backgrounds. And tutoring is that part of that process, and then the actual academic tutoring begins to happen. So that the tutor now knows basically what some of the needs are of that tutee, and he or she can then begin to plan incorporating the youngster. The program has many, many resources, and what we do is that we set up a conducive learning space for our youngsters, giving them full access to all the floors in the program and providing them with lots of fantastic materials. For instance, the reading room that you're sitting in right now. This reading room was basically put together with the philosophy that it would provide wonderful literature for children. And right now we're working in upgrading the literature here by providing more African American writers as well as Latino writers so the youngsters can relate to. The kids have access to art materials, theater, they have access to video equipment, art supplies. They use computers upstairs. There are no limits basically at EHCP with regards to materials and supplies. We use games, we create our own games, we use activities, we bring in lecturers, we bring in artists, we bring in speakers, we take them on field trips. We ask the kids what is it that they want to see. We ask tutors what is it they want to see. Tutors themselves get involved in providing resources. They teach workshops. They put field trips together. It's like one big family, and it's important to have this because in many instances the kids don't have any resources at home or have very little. Even in the community, our library is suffering, so that we support one another, and a lot of the kids come here just for the resources, basically.
I want to understand what you are reading. Do not mumble.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mama is chocolate. You must be swirls of dark fudge, and ripples through your cocoa curls, chips and flipped up sprinkles on your summer face.
Tell me something. If Mama is chocolate, what color is Mama?
Black.
Thank you. All right. She must be very beautiful. She must taste real good too, huh? She's a beautiful, beautiful lady.
Interfaith Neighbors, located in the Yorkville section of Manhattan, is a social service agency staffed by professional, social, and youth workers. While Interfaith's main function is to provide individual and family counseling, staff have begun to include literacy activities in their work with kids. Challenge is the early adolescent component of Interfaith. In this program, children and staff work in small groups.
The Challenge program is designed so that you can discover and explore what your unique path is, where you've been, where you are now, and where you're going.
Planning is important in two different directions, and I have to speak about both directions. On the one hand, every decision that you make in a planning session with your frontline staff should in some way reflect policy that exists or reflect the need to change existing policy or to come up with new policy. So there should be unity between the overriding structure and policy of the agency and the planning vis-a-vis the activities and how you're working with children. That has to flow. It has to be syntonic. Otherwise, you end up with an agency where you have staff complaining about their jobs and not feeling connected to the larger work or the vision. And I think clients eventually feel that kind of problem.
Your path goes back thousands of years and goes forward thousands of years. And here at Challenge, we came up with the Path Project because we think it's really important for you to understand and to explore your own path and each other's path, to understand your own path so that you can see how decisions that have been made in the past are affecting you now in your present, and how decisions that you're going to be making, now are going to affect your future and shape the paths of your offspring.
By planning activities where they're real working sessions, not someone telling someone what to do, but people struggling with the issues, you end up having a staff where every single person on that staff understands the vision and has embraced it, which is something you want in a staff. I mean, that's why we have a dedicated staff. People embrace the vision, they understand it, and they're articulating that in their thinking and in their planning and in the way they are with children. We also debated whether we should use an activity that will ask the students to look at something personal in their life and talk about it, or whether we should stimulate youngsters' imaginations by showing a range of people who came from different backgrounds and reflected different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different kinds of people. And we ended up going with the latter. And then we made another, I think, important decision, and that was not to use magazine pictures, which can be less than thrilling, but to bring in photos. Staff brought photos from people in their lives, from our own archives. And that was that was an exciting project for staff because it helped us to think about our paths, and that in turn really helps us to create better activities down the road.
Basically, what we're going to be doing in Path Stories activity is that each group will get a manila envelope that has a photograph of a real person inside of it. We're going to pass out sheets that you'll be able to write stories on these sheets. And you're going to have time to discuss in your Path group with your Path leader the photographs, who's in the photograph, what this person's past life has been. And you're going to use your imagination and try to use the clues that are in the photograph to write your story.
I'm just going to ask some really basic questions just to get your ideas going. Anyone else want to write it down? Who wants to write it? And this is just for all of us.
I'll do it. The happy husband and wife with their brand new car, looking for a ride. Like if finally the car breaks down and they're looking for a ride, driving up to their brand new house in happiness.
I like what Javon did. You know, see, there's no house in here, but Javon did something called projection. He took a guess at what they're looking at or what's beyond the picture, and that's something you might want to include in your writing.
This is the picture that we're going to be doing. What do you see in this picture?
I see an old woman.
An old woman?
She's not an old woman.
She looks like 51.
What about you guys?
I put 57.
Well, I think she looks old because she's very tired of taking care of her two children and cleaning up the house.
Really? I know. When do you think this is taking place?
1820s. I think
1820s.
This was a lady that was in slavery, and she took her and her two children. She took her two children over to the underground railroad and went to the north and set a life for her in a nice place to raise the two children.
That's great. It's a very good line, but what you need to do next is say they were unhappy because of the hardships in their life or whatever happened. See, I think that you had a lot of stuff here.
The two sisters are very sad and sorry. Their parents are going through fights and tribulations with each other and don't feel comfortable with each other. The reason they are sitting on the street is because the building in the background is where they live and they want to get away from the tension and pain. The reason they are dressed in these types of clothes is because the father does not care for them. He does not invest any money in them. I know, it's sad. The one who is smiling is happy, but sad. She wears a happy face, but it's filled with sad songs. The one who is sad has it worse. She is the oldest and gets blamed for about everything. These children very much need people to talk to. Children like this grow up to be afraid of rejection, and then that will turn out to be being afraid of making friends. These two girls only have each other, and when they are separated, their buildings will fall.
Project Reach Youth is located in the Park Slope section of Brooklyn and is a multi-service agency that offers educational programs for young people. The Family Reading Program holds weekly sessions for parents and their children. In a supportive atmosphere, rich with books and other learning materials, the program offers parents the opportunity to work on their own reading and English language skills while learning to read books to their children.
Basically, we're serving a population of people who don't automatically read to their children. These parents don't know how to read English very well and don't have confidence in their reading abilities. They want to read to their children. They want their children to succeed in school, and so they came to us for help. We decided that the best way to help them is to involve parents and children reading aloud together and doing projects around books so that the children would grow up surrounded by books and enjoying books. Most of these children are from Hispanic families, and Spanish is predominantly spoken in their homes. These children are starting kindergarten. These children started kindergarten this year, and it was very important they learned as much English as possible before this experience. It was also important to expose them to books, to language, and to the love of reading.
Le ayuda mucho a la nena leer, le gusta mucho los libros y las actividades que hacemos aquí, a ella le gusta mucho.
Okay, she says that her daughter and herself both enjoy reading the books here and at home because they get to take them home for a week, and they also look forward to doing the activities in class. And sometimes they take them at home and finish and do other things with them as well.
Well, today we're going to read a story about sound. Okay? Does anybody know how we hear sound? Maritza?
With our ears.
With our ears. Good. I know there's two animals that some of us has as favorite pets here. And they sound are very easy to make. Can anybody tell me one of those animals? Yes?
Dog.
A dog. Very good. Can you make the sound of a dog? Okay. What's the other one? A cat. Okay. Does anybody know what this is?
Radio.
Yes?
A radio.
A radio, but it's a different kind of radio than the regular ones that we play. Does anybody know?
Cassette.
It's a tape recorder. That was a good try. It's a tape recorder. Does anybody know what we do with a tape recorder? Maritza?
We put tapes in it.
Okay, and what do we do with the tapes?
And we listen to them.
Okay, what else does a tape recorder does?
It makes you hear your voices.
Okay, we record with a tape recorder. That was very good. Okay, we record and it helps us to listen to the sounds or anything that we record on it over and over again in exactly the same way.
Does anyone know what an author is? Who can tell us nice and loud so we can all hear? Marissa?
An author is somebody that writes stories.
Good. Somebody that writes stories.
Polar bear, what do you hear? I hear a lion roaring in my ear. The lion.
Lion, what do you hear?
I hear a hippopotamus.
I hear a hippopotamus snoring in my ear.
Very good. Beautiful.
I've seen a tremendous improvement in the 6 months since we've started the program in the children's ability to sit, to listen to books, and to be able to answer questions, which shows that they're understanding what they're reading. Their enjoyment has also gone up. They want to take home more books. They're excited about coming. They remember the stories. They ask for favorite books. Everybody's reading books appropriate for the children's age groups, and parents and children are encouraged to borrow the books for the week and read them and reread them as many times as they like. In addition, they could take out any other books that they've read previously, borrow those for the week, and then return them. The program has been very successful so far. The children are reading more. The parents are reading more. The parents are also starting to use libraries. And the kindergarten teachers are reporting that some of the children who have been exposed to these books come in excited about reading. They're able to sit for longer periods of time, and they have knowledge of some of the subject matters that's covered in the books.
A mí inclusivamente para aprender inglés, entonces yo le enseño a ella, le leo los libros, a ella le gusta mucho leer los libros y las actividades que hacemos aquí.
She says, I really enjoy reading the stories in the class with my daughter, and I enjoy taking the book home, and it not only has helped my daughter, but it's helped me as well with my reading in English, so we're both learning at the same time. And we also enjoy the activities that we do in class together. We take them home, we talk about it, and we do other activities related to the book for the week that we have it at home. Alexa, you want to tell us how you feel about the program and what you like best about the reading club?
I like reading the books.
Learning cannot be forced on a child from the outside. It must come from an intrinsic desire within. If learning is pleasurable and challenging, then young people will naturally be drawn to it. The programs you have just seen demonstrate in different ways a commitment to providing children with both pleasures and challenges in literacy education. These programs are alive with the sounds of activity, of children working. Kids have fun, but they also think critically and spend quite a bit of time reading, writing, and discussing their work. After-school programs, the third arena for children's education, are enabling kids to develop as successful learners.